What's up, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of Ask, where you guys get to ask me questions and I will answer them. I've sent out a tweet and a Google Plus post, so if you guys want to follow in on this, next time I do one, if you guys are interested or like these, let me know. Leave your comments down below. But without further ado, let's get started. So let's go ahead and head on over to Twitter. SuperSaf, @SuperSaf. What do you film your videos with? I use a Canon 5D Mark II, and I have different types of lenses that I use. One of my favorite ones is the Sigma 35 1.4. Probably my overall lens that I like to use, but yeah, the camera that I'm using to film this video also is the Canon 5D Mark II. I also have other cameras, and let me know if you guys want me to make a video of my tools that I use to create YouTube videos, and I'll definitely try and put something together. Let's head on over to Google Plus. We have Sebastian Lundgren. What was your first Android phone? Well, technically it was the Samsung Galaxy S. However, I did use a Motorola Droid, which was my wife's at the time, and I used it a little bit. I mainly didn't get an Android phone until after they allowed tethering. Tethering was really important to me, so I stuck with my BlackBerry just because at the time, Android didn't allow tethering, and like I said, it was very important for me and my workflow that I had tethering availability. So once that became available, I actually ended up buying a Samsung Galaxy S, but I was hooked the minute I was using her Android phone, which was the Motorola Droid, and I was just hoping that they would bring tethering as soon as possible because I wanted to ditch BlackBerry. Next question is from David Olick. HTC, Motorola, Samsung, LG, Sony. If you could pick one company, which would you want to succeed in the Android space? Feel free to choose. Pick something not on my list. You know, I want all manufacturers to succeed, of course, but if there was one particular company, I would have to say Sony. And I've never owned a Sony smartphone, but I've bought a lot of Sony devices. And one thing that I'm really a fan of is Japanese quality or Japanese manufacturing quality. And I know that Sony does a really good job. Even some of their laptops, which unfortunately they're not going to be doing laptops anymore. If you notice, they are actually made in Japan. I know a lot of these other laptops are made in China, Taiwan. So I really want Sony to succeed just because I think that they still have it in them in building really good products. So hopefully they come out with, or they start producing a lot of good phones. And I'd love to own a Sony phone, especially a Google Play Edition or hopefully Nexus device. Florian Bohm, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your last name correctly, asks, when and why did you start to make tech videos? And when did I become interested in tech? So the reason I started to make videos or YouTube videos was I used to argue a lot on the forums, and not really argue, but I had a lot of discussions with people saying, look, Android is pretty amazing, this is what you can do. And of course, you had the iPhone people saying, no, you can't do that, or iOS is better, get out of here. So it became really annoying and frustrating. So I decided to make a video and say, look, kind of put this to an end. Here's a video. You're telling me that you can't do it? Please prove me wrong. So I ended up doing that Android versus iOS video, and I basically put a challenge out there and said, look, this is what you can do. If you can't really do that, or if iOS can do that, please prove me otherwise. Till this day, nobody was able to do that, of course, because it's not possible, unless, of course, you jailbreak your phone, but that's a whole different story. So I put out those videos. Needless to say, people enjoyed it. They liked it. It went viral. After that, people were asking for more, make a part 2, 3, and I ended up doing that. And they saw my Android phone. How did you theme it? Then it became how to theme your Android phone like a boss. And my channel just started to grow, and a lot of people were interested in what I had to say or what I had to do with Android. So I had a lot of fun doing it, and here I am today, almost 2 years later, 100,000 plus subscribers, and I owe it all to you guys, and thank you very much for that, because that's pretty amazing. Now, the other side is, how did I get involved with, when was my passion for tech, or when did it start? And that probably has to do ever since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I used to take things apart, usually anything related to tech. Like if it was a radio, I would take it apart, put it back. So it just, ever since I was a kid, I had a really fond for technology, including even games, if that has anything to do with tech. But yeah, that really, as far as I can remember, I've always liked technology or anything that had to do with computers and stuff like that. Tristan Curtis from Google Plus asks, if you can change one major thing about the direction Google is taking Android, what would it be? That's a really good question, because I think what I would do is retail stores. I think retail stores are very important. Similar to how you have Apple stores. I think that's one direction where I would take Google or Android to the whole different level. Let me give you an example. For example, I have a Nexus 5 here, and let's say I break the screen, or let's say I damage something from this phone. I bought this from the Google Play Store. Where do I go? Who do I take it to? Does it have warranty? You know, even myself as a tech geek, these are things that I've kind of questioned. What happens when I break this? Do I have to take it upon myself to buy a screen, to replace it? Think about it for the average Joe. Now, of course, the average Joe is probably going to buy it like at a T-Mobile or Sprint store, or wherever, you know, the Nexus 5 is available, and they'll get it replaced there. But it would be nice to have a Google store, per se, where you can go and touch the device, play with them, get customer support. And I think that's really where Google is falling behind. And I think it's important. I think that if I damage or if I need support for this phone, I can just go to a store. And I think that's where Apple really has it down. And it would be nice for Google to take that similar approach, because I'd love to see that. Especially a couple of months ago, I bought a tablet from the Google Play editions from the Google Play Store, and needless to say, I had a problem. It took almost 2 months for me to get a refund. I know some of you guys have had similar issues with that. So yeah, I think being able to go to a store, get a refund, or whatever the case may be, would really improve their customer service, their customer experience. And even for average people that don't know anything about Android or Google, at least give them the ability to try it out and see what Android is all about. Jose Carranza from Google Plus asks, Armando, what do you think a smartwatch must have to become widely adopted? Standalone capabilities, something truly innovative? Do you think Motorola has a chance if it uses something similar to its X8 architecture, you know, active notifications and touchless controls? Yeah, I think if Motorola used something like that with their X8 architecture on a smartwatch, I think that would be pretty innovative. I mean, imagine not having to even have your phone near you, just of course, you know, pretty good distance for Bluetooth capabilities, and just say, okay, Google. I think that would be pretty neat. But I think where we still need to see a smartwatch company do is more software integration. And what I mean by that is where the actual company building the watch has something similar to Tasker. And I don't mean as complicated as Tasker. I mean something with a really smart UI where it just makes sense and anybody could use it. So I'll give you an example, or I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. The other day, my dad, you know, he retired about a couple of months ago, and he said he's getting paranoid because he's getting older, and he's telling me that he feels that one day he might have a heart attack, and, you know, nobody's going to be there to, you know, find out that he's dead or whatever. So I go, calm down, Dad. So we came up with an idea, and the idea is if he has a smartwatch that checks blood pressure and also checks your heart rate. So imagine this, and I've already have a prototype / testing on this with Tasker. So for example, let's say that smartwatch detects that his blood pressure is a little bit off the charts, or even his heart rate is, you know, when you get a heart attack, your heart rate just skyrockets like 200 plus and just, or, you know, or goes down. What it would do is his phone would start vibrating, and his phone would just freak out and say, or even if you took it off, think about it. If you take it off, your phone's going to think, oh my gosh, there's no pulse, there's nothing, right? So your phone would vibrate for about a minute, and it would say, you know, are you okay? If not, I'm going to dial your son. So that's actually what I have in Tasker right now. If it triggers that something's not right or something that's not correct, what it happens is it opens the microphone on his phone. It opens up Google Hangouts, and next thing you know, I'm getting a Hangouts from my dad, even though he's on the floor. I hope this doesn't happen. And I'm looking at, my phone rings, and I'm looking at what's going on. So I think if companies were able to tie that type of software features onto their smartwatches, I think that they would do a lot better. Not just from that perspective, but being able to program custom things where it's just really, you know, if A happens, B happens, or if A and B happens, you know, C will happen. So if they can do it very simple like that, I think that they would have a really strong chance of, you know, rising up above everybody else, as opposed to, here's a smartwatch, here's the API, do what you guys want. And that's one of the reasons why I like Pebble a lot. And you guys always hear me, you know, rave about Pebble, is because they have, or the developers have integrated Tasker. And really with Tasker allows me to do just about anything I want with that watch. However, that's not the case for everybody or the average Joe. Chris Graves from Google Plus asked, what do you do for a living? And a couple of you also asked that same question. I own a media marketing company, and what that does, or what I do, is I'm involved with a lot of graphic design and marketing. So if a company calls me and has a new product that they want to do a commercial, or say if they want static graphics like brochure, catalogs, flyers, or even if they're looking to do a whole website, so I do the design part of it, that's who they call. And I have a lot of fun doing it. I used to own a software company too. I used to be involved in creating e-commerce websites. I ended up selling it to my business partner. It was just too much. When you start dealing with software and development and all that, it's just a lot of work, and I didn't want to get involved too much with that anymore. So I love graphic design. That's something I've always liked. So I love what I do, and it's I make a lot of money. I make good money, and I'm very happy. And I think that if you can do something that you love and make a lot of money, why not, right? Sean Carlin from Google Plus asks, favorite YouTuber other than yourself? Well, this is a little hard one to answer because I like a lot of YouTube. Usually if I follow somebody on YouTube, it's because I like them. But if I had to pinpoint one of my favorite YouTubers, it would be Linus from Linus Tech Tips. I like the way he presents himself. He's very comprehensive. I'm a huge fan of Linus, so I don't even know if he's ever going to watch this video. I don't think he's a fan of me, but I'm a huge fan of Linus from Linus Tech Tips. But yeah, he's if I had to pick a YouTuber, he would be my choice. And if you don't follow him, go ahead and follow him. I'll leave that link down below. He's a really good guy. I don't know him personally, but from his videos, he seems like a good guy. And his videos are always awesome. Mainly related to computer, very little on mobile technology, but still a lot of fun. And I actually learn a lot from him too. Here's a question from Twitter. Apple Cool at CoolTechApple asks, what tips can you give for those starters? I'm assuming you mean starting a YouTube channel. So first and foremost, be yourself. And of course, do videos that you are passionate about. Don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Do something that you truly want to show somebody, whether it be, you know, how to do something on your phone or how to do something on your laptop, something that you truly enjoy and want to teach somebody, or if it's informational, you know, that's something that I would definitely, you know, is a must. But on a hardware side, and I think it's overlooked by a lot of YouTubers, including myself when I first started my channel, is don't worry so much about the camera that you use, because as you start getting better, as you start practicing, you'll figure out ways to do that. But one thing that I see a lot of YouTube channels is not having really good audio quality. And like I said, I myself, I'm gonna raise my hand, when I first started doing YouTube videos, didn't really care too much about the audio quality. And if you have really good audio, people are going to want to watch your videos because they can hear you clearly. It sounds buttery smooth. And trust me, that's one thing that's really inexpensive. Like for example, the mic that you're hearing me right now, it's a Zoom H1. I'll leave a link down below where you guys can buy it if you're interested. And you know, prices range anywhere from like 70 to 80 bucks. Sometimes I think at the most that I've seen it is about 100 bucks, but really inexpensive. But the sound quality is, as you guys can hear, sounds really good. Obviously, it's not the best that's available out there, but for what I do on YouTube, it works really good. It's fantastic. And that's the tip that I can give you is get a good audio setup, inexpensive, and it'll get the job done. So anyhow, guys, I hope you guys like these Ask Me questions. If you guys did, make sure you let me know by leaving your comments down below or also hitting up that like button. It lets me know that you guys enjoyed these videos and you want me to continue to do them. And if you guys do, maybe in every couple other months or every 2-3 months, I'll do Ask Me, and follow me on Twitter, Google+. I'll also leave those links down below. Or, you know, again, if you guys like this, I'll ask or I'll post a question about Ask Me, and that way you guys can participate. And I normally pick the questions that either get a lot of +1s, or if the question is really, I mean, I can't tell on Twitter unless it gets retweeted, but if it sounds like a really good question, I'll find you on Twitter and I'll select your question. So anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, adios.